Hey everybody, this is Father Warner. We are in Thursday of the 7th week in Ordinary Time. I'm doing this recording rather late today because I've had just one visit to a doctor, to a dentist, to the MRI, to the pathology. It's been a long day for me. Okay, our text today is taken from James chapter 5 verses 1 to 6. That's the first reading, and the gospel is taken from chapter 9 verses 41 to 50 of the Gospel of Mark. Now I'm going to link these two together, but I'm going to focus a little more on the first reading. Now when you read this text, and I do hope you'll read St. James chapter 5 verse 1 to 6, you get the feeling when you read this text that the church, that God, that faith on the whole has some angst against those who are rich. And very often we preachers have preached thus from the pulpit. We have preached against rich people, though ironically we have accepted the money that rich people give the church. But we have been very vociferous about against rich people. Now that is not the mind of God. It is not the mind of the church, even though a text like this, when it is read in its incomplete form, may give you the impression. And so let me read the first part of the text, which gives you an impression that God is against those who are wealthy, because it begins like this: the answer for the rich, start weeping. So you think, oh, I'm rich, therefore God is going to punish me. Weep for the miseries that are coming to you. Your wealth is all rotting, your clothes are all eaten up by moths, all your gold and your silver are corroding away, and the same corrosion will be your own sentence and eat into your body. Now, as I said, read the entire text, read the verses that follow after this. But let me give you a quick reflection also on the first part. You know, even if I am rich, I am blessed. I am blessed in order that I may bless other people. I always ask people, how much is enough? The other day somebody spoke about a car, or rather they showed me a photograph of a car in the Burj Khalifa, and they said there are only 5 such cars in the world. Now, do I need such a car? How does it help except my ego? And I don't judge you if you have such a car. But the question is, if you have been blessed so much, you have an obligation to bless others, or the text will say your wealth will start rotting, your clothes are going to be eaten up by moths because you have so much, and yet you don't share with others. But the text of today condemns those rich people who have been blessed by God, or those rich people who have wealth, but their wealth is through ill-gotten means. Now, I'm going to read the rest of the text for you. See, these are rich people who are rich because they have been unjust. And this is what God says: laborers have mowed your fields. People have worked for you, and you have cheated them. Listen to the wages that you have kept back. You know, I hear this so often when people in Bombay proudly tell me, I cut, as they say, it's bad English, but they say, I cut her salary, my maid's salary, because she did not come. Even if your domestic help did not turn up for a couple of days, maybe some of them do play the hokey pokey more often than you want, but many of them are genuine. And when they don't come because there is an issue in their home, somebody is sick. I mean, I was in the hospital today the whole day. Why would you want to treat them badly by being so exacting? Be merciful, be kind. But here St. James is talking about those who are rich and have become rich by cheating other people, by robbing the poorest of the poor. Listen to this. Listen to the wages you've kept back. Calling out, realize that the cries of the reapers have reached the ears of the Lord. And this is the most dangerous thing, that what we do wrong, what we cause pain to others, that pain God sees. And so if God has blessed you, one, bless others. Second, if you have become rich through wrong means, then correct yourself. I know of a person who was telling me, and I'm not going to get into the ethics of it 100%. He said, I work for the government. The government, we are forced in the department to accept bribes. And when this gentleman told me, he said, I refuse, Father. They put false cases against me because they were afraid that I would squeal on them. And he said, I have never used that money, even though it lands up on my table. He says, I give that money to everybody else. Now, what is the ethics of it? I'm not going to get into it. But at least his heart is clear. His heart is clean. I will help. I'm not encouraging this kind of behavior, but I'm saying even the worst person, in a bad situation, can still do good. Now, that's the first reading. The gospel of today does not look at only our social obligations, but looks at our spiritual obligations. And Jesus says very clearly, if your hand should cause you to sin, cut it off. If your eye should cause it to sin, pluck it out. If your leg should cause you, if your foot should cause you to sin, cut it off. Talking about the foot being cut off, I once read a line that said, where the mind goes, the man follows. If your mind is corrupted, you will end up there. If your mind is thinking of a brothel, you will end up there. So, God is not only concerned about how we deal with society, He is also concerned with how we deal with our spiritual life, and He is demanding excellence. This text is not asking you to actually go and cut your hand and leg and pull your eye out, but it says heaven is going to be a place which is only for the holy. I've said this very often. Heaven is not a place for the good. Many of you will say, Father, I am a good person. Heaven is not a good place. Heaven is a holy place. And God's standards are very, very high, and that is why we have purgatory, a place of purification before we truly enter into the presence of God. So I hope this teaching has nourished you. Be generous, be kind, share. When you know someone, I learned this many years ago and I practice it. Whenever I used to be called for a sick call in the middle of the night or at any time, I would always carry. People always give us money and they say, Father, keep this money, use it for something. And I would take that money, and the first thing I would do is put it in the hands of that person who's sick. Because people are struggling, and I can tell you just from today's tests and yesterday's tests, it is awfully expensive. So we need to care for the poor, for our domestic help, those who work for us, those in our families who we know are struggling financially, a child's education that can be paid for, some love, some kindness, whatever. We are all capable of doing acts of kindness. God bless you. Don't forget to like this teaching, share it, and do subscribe to this channel. Thank you for your prayers. I must tell you that as I can see, most of my results are going to be normal. I'm keeping fingers crossed, but I have a strong feeling it's good. I just had a bad reaction to the dye that they inserted to do the MRI, which caused me to throw up, and so I'm feeling very, very nauseous. It also upset my stomach. But as they said, Father, this happens to 1 in 100 people. I guess I'm unique always. So thank you for your love. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.